another episode brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook and app. Deke, not only is it safe, but it is secure, and most importantly, baby, it is reliable. And for all the first-time users out there, if you use the promo code MOATS, you will receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money. So, Deke, tell these people to stop wasting time. Like,
the time is now. It really is. It's the most valuable thing we have. Exactly.
So stop wasting it. Download the app, use the promo code, and get an opportunity to make a little money. But shout out to Matt Canada. Like I said, also with him getting this opportunity, we talked about last week also how he had his first interview for the offensive coordinator position with the Miami Dolphins. We said that was going to be a big opportunity for him.
That was right after we did the Haley and Peterson conversation where it was like, whoa,
it definitely
those two coordinators actually come here?
Which was awesome because, I mean, literally we kept saying to ourselves, right? We said, typically the Steelers haven't had a lot of coaches on their staff to get coordinator interviews, get head coaching interviews. And we said this year that they had two guys in-house in terms of Terrell Austin, the secondary coach / pass game coordinator who interviewed for the DC job in Tennessee. And then obviously Matt Canada, who was our quarterbacks coach, but interviewed for the OC job in Miami. So to see that we had two candidates in-house, initially I was kind of conflicted once we found out about Canada interviewing, because I'm saying to myself, like, all right, well, we said that Butler was going to be back. So it makes sense to not retain Austin at that level. Now, if he wants to come back and be, secondary pass coach wherever he is currently, well, then sure. But it made sense that, okay, we're not going to promote him if you are going to roll with Butler going forward. But offensively, it's like if you're getting rid of Randy Fichtner and you got a guy in-house that's interviewing for other OC jobs, premier OC jobs, we said, man, that Dolphins job, when you really thought about the draft picks, the young quarterback, the core group, the young coach, man, that was a top job if you are looking to cut your teeth as a coordinator. And knowing that he was getting interviewed for that, it's like, man, why would you let that slip away? And now you got to go elsewhere when you already had a guy in-house that you could have promoted from within. So it was good to see the Steelers share that same sentiment and go ahead and not waste time, not let this thing drag out, and go ahead and make Canada officially the offensive coordinator. So I definitely thought that was a good move by him. But I guess my question to you is, do you like that move? Do you think that was the right guy? Or would you have preferred a Todd Haley, a Doug Peterson, a Eric Bieniemy, a Brian Dable? Would you have preferred one of those higher end guys versus an inexperienced guy like Matt Canada?
I think I would have preferred those guys, just because I think it would have been an interesting dynamic with them and Ben, and just maybe some more innovativeness. And like you said, they have more of a track record.
Yes.
The problem is, it goes back to the conversation of we don't normally do that.
You're right.
Of bringing in those guys. So
if we're just from within.
If we're just talking and spitballing about this stuff and it's actually not going to happen, then what's the next move? It seems like this was the next best option. Yeah. So yeah, I'm good with it. I mean, I heard some good things Ebron was saying on Twitter, like this is one of the most innovative guys like I've had coach me, something like that. Unique formation. He said something really positive about him, which got me a little hyped up. So I just don't really know what the other move was. So I'm good with it. Yeah. And it seemed like he did enough stuff. I think Ben's complimented him throughout the year too. He's done enough stuff and has what the hell? There was something I even watched too. He has a bunch of different formations where it's not the same every time. I don't know if it was specifically at Pitt. But yeah, it seems like he is
like tackle over stuff. We saw earlier what they were doing with Al, where he would line up as a right extra O lineman and then shift over to the left side or motion and things like that. That's a lot of Canada. That's been, I guess, on his one of his staples since Pitt, where he has passing concepts where he features the left tackle. He's throwing it back for touchdowns to offensive linemen. Like, that's him. He's gonna give you that type of creativity, that type of off the wall type formations and things like that.
So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Now, the biggest reason I was asking was because we talked about last podcast how we typically don't spend a lot of money on coordinators or on position coaches, yet we expect them to produce to the same level as some of these top tier guys. And once again, we're in that exact same scenario where we talked about some of these higher end guys that are available, right? Some of these higher end guys with more experience, guys with proven track records who would obviously cost more, but they go the route of promoting from within. Now, my question to you is, in 2 years, if it looks like how Randy Fichtner did, because Randy Fichtner was a similar scenario, quarterbacks coach, promote from within, spoke highly of him, then did. Players in the organization spoke highly of Fichtner when he got the promotion. If you're going to do that again with Canada and it doesn't work out, do you feel like from then on, you don't need to promote from within, you need to spend a little bit more money outsourced? Because
I think that's fair, because I think this situation is a little more unique than the Fichtner one, where Canada did have a interview with the Miami Dolphins. So maybe you give this one a year to maybe 2 years. I don't know, but if things are just the same, too, then
from an evaluation standpoint, when you said the 1 to 2 years, because of the Ben scenario, right? And we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But just in terms of, all right, if he's here, how long is he here, right? If he's not here, who is here? So when you're talking about first year coordinators, or even if that's his second year, say Ben retires after this year, right? Or after the 2021 season, right? Either way, he's going to be dealing with a major transition in his first year to 2 years of being a coordinator. So that's going to, I feel like, have another big impact on how we evaluate him going forward as well, man.
Yeah, it might actually be an unfair removal or release of him if Ben does leave, and it's just more of like, we want to start fresh.
Which they could,
because he might have a decent season, but it's just like we want a whole fresh start. And
we said the way contracts are set up with Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin, that it could be a scenario where all three of those guys, in terms of Colbert, Tomlin, and Big Ben, are out the door at the same time. And if that's the case, the new GM that you bring in, new head coach you bring in, they might want to say, you know what, let's clean house. Let's do this our way. I want my guys. I want my staff here. So, and that does happen a lot. It happens a ton of times. Not saying that you won't have carryover, because obviously we talked about James Daniels, the tight end coach that recently retired. Shout out to JD, amazing coach, amazing guy. But he was a Bill Cowher guy that carried over to Mike Tomlin. So there have been scenarios where you can carry over with a different regime, but it typically doesn't happen because, Deke, if you're the head coach, your job is on the line. Are you going to want a guy that was hired from somebody else, or are you going to hire somebody that you trust, that you vetted, that you vouch for?
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, no question. And it's not saying that that's a bad thing, but if you're going to put your job on the line, you want to do it with the guys that you trust, that you have a relationship with. So that's the other thing with that. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be an interesting year to 2 years for Matt Canada, though, man.
So what do you think?
I was 50-50 on it. I was torn. The one side of me, I'm like, that's the steal away. And as much as we love the steal away at times, there are times where I am a little tired of it. I do feel like you do need to add some innovativeness to it. You need to add a splash of life. And they have done so recently as it pertains to some of their trades and draft movement, right? You moving up in the draft to get Devin Bush. You trading away a first-round pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick. Back-to-back years making moves that deal with your first-round draft picks. We hadn't seen that from them in decades. So we are seeing them do some things that are starting to keep up with the times. But as a whole, they don't really operate like that. So as much as I would have loved for them to be a lot more aggressive and go grab an Eric Bieniemy type, right? Because even though we think that Bieniemy should be a head coach somewhere, he's obviously going to get his interviews, the jobs are drying up. And it's the gift and the curse of being on a good team, right? When you're on a team that goes deep into the playoffs, your interview schedule is drastically different than somebody who's, week 17 season over. You got full time to prepare, do what you need to do, travel, have the interviews that you need. With these guys, they literally have 1 day a week to interview, and that's after their game. So it's not really a lot of time. So if I'm the Steelers, I'm thinking to myself, man, you could grab a guy like that who should be a head coach, but more than likely is going to miss another opportunity. Him, Brian Daboll, it's a couple of guys in that same vein. Overpay them if you need to, but you know what that brings to your offense. And even if it's for 1 year, even if it's for 2 years tops, right? Just think about what this year, what we talked about this year. If the offense was playing at a crazy level, along with the defense playing at a crazy level, they have the goods to be a Super Bowl team. And we felt like, man, it was just little things that were missing. If that's what you feel, and I do think the Steelers feel that way as well, and obviously we'll see a lot more as the offseason progresses, what they do with Ben, what they do with some of the core guys, your Pouncey's, your DeCastros, your bigger name guys that cost a lot more money. We'll know a lot more how they view this team in the short term by the moves that they make with those guys. If they keep a large amount of those core guys together, they think that they can still take that next step. If they start to blow it up, they're going to think, okay, well, maybe we're a year or two away and we need to start revamping some things now. We'll know that, like I said, this offseason as it continues to progress. But thinking of those things, it makes me say to myself, why not be aggressive? Why not go out there and try to get one of those guys, man? At least interview them, right? Even if they turn it down, okay, cool. But I at least want to see you interviewing these guys. And we weren't even seeing that. So to me, that was the part that rubbed me the wrong way with it. Because not saying that Matt Canada can't come in and do a great job.
That's the thing. It's like everyone's talking about this innovativeness,
Right.
and that's what you would be looking for if you
Correct.
brought in one of these outside guys.
Yeah.
So let's see if he could do it.
Yeah.
But just from the standpoint of, man, same old, just promoting
Right.
within Steelers.
It's kind of like
that's the thing that throws you off a little bit.
Man, I look at it like I'm sure they have a new up and coming shoe brand that's gonna kill it, right? I'm sure some new shoe brand is coming out right now and that it's like, dude, man, this shoe is comfy. It looks good, stylish, great colors, beautiful texture. No one really knows about it though. And then you over here with this just Nike, and you just like, bro, I know this. This is perfect. Even on the bad days, I still know what this is. Not saying that can't be great, but I know what this is. This is a proven commodity. And that's kind of how I feel when I look at Matt Canada versus some of these other guys. It's like,
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying Canada can't grow into that. I'm not saying that he might not be that right now. But we haven't seen it enough to know to that level. And especially, like I said, when you talk about this team under Ben, that window is closing.